The night was drowning in rain when a war veteran stumbled upon a scene that would haunt him forever. On a small wooden porch, a police officer lay motionless, blood mixing with the rainwater. Beside him, his K9 partner, wounded and trembling, pressed against his chest, refusing to leave even as lightning split the sky. The dog let out a broken whine, eyes locked on the veteran like a desperate plea for help. Daniel's heart pounded. He had seen battlefields, but nothing like this, loyalty fighting death itself. Then, from the darkness behind the open door, came the sound of a single, deliberate footstep. Someone was still there, watching, waiting, and time was running out. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The storm raged like an angry sea, hammering rooftops and flooding the narrow streets of a forgotten town. Every flash of lightning tore open the night sky, revealing broken fences, overturned trash cans, and silence, the kind that comes before something terrible. Through the downpour trudged Daniel Cross, a war veteran whose life had long since drifted into quiet obscurity. His boots splashed through puddles as the beam of his flashlight wavered across the slick wooden porches lining the street. Then he heard it, a faint, desperate whimper that sliced through the roar of rain. He froze, breath caught. The sound came again, softer this time, but full of pain. Following it, Daniel climbed the steps of a small, dimly lit house. What he saw made his blood run cold. A police officer lay face down on the porch, soaked in rain and blood. Beside him, a German shepherd pressed close, trembling yet defiant, refusing to abandon his fallen partner. The dog's eyes met Daniel's, pleading, protective, and afraid. Daniel knelt, voice shaking. "Hey, easy, buddy. I'm here to help." But as he reached forward, the dog's ears twitched. From somewhere in the darkness behind the half-open door, a floorboard creaked. Someone else was there. Daniel's hand froze in midair. The faint creak came again, slower this time, deliberate. He turned his flashlight toward the half-open door, and the beam landed on a pair of muddy boots. His pulse quickened. Whoever had done this was still here. The German shepherd, though injured, lifted his head and released a low, warning growl that vibrated through the floorboards. Rain drummed harder on the porch roof as a shadowed figure stepped out, face half hidden beneath a soaked jacket. In his hand glinted the cold steel of a pistol. "Don't move," the man barked, voice rough with panic. Daniel raised both hands slowly, instincts sharpening like they had years ago in combat. His eyes flicked toward the wounded officer, still breathing, barely. The K9 shifted beside him, teeth bared, trembling but ready. "Back off," Daniel said firmly, rain streaking down his face. But before the intruder could react, a flash of lightning tore across the sky, and the dog lunged. The man stumbled backward, firing wildly as Daniel dove aside. The shot missed by inches. The intruder bolted into the storm, disappearing into the night. Only the thunder answered back, and the dog's weak, loyal whimper. Daniel slammed the door shut, bolting it with trembling hands as thunder rolled across the sky. The air inside was thick with the smell of rain and blood. The officer lay motionless, his uniform soaked and darkened by the spreading stain on his shoulder. The German shepherd limped closer, pressing his head against his handler's chest as if begging him to wake up. "Hang in there," Daniel muttered, lowering himself beside them. His old combat instincts kicked in: assess, stabilize, survive. He tore off his jacket, ripping the sleeve into a strip, and pressed it against the officer's wound. Blood soaked through almost instantly, but Daniel didn't stop. His hands moved with the same desperate precision he'd once used on the battlefield. The dog whimpered, watching every move. When Daniel's hand shook, a cold nose nudged him, as if urging him not to give up. "You're a good boy," he whispered, voice breaking. Lightning flashed through the window, illuminating the scene. The broken door, the blood on the floor, the rain pooling under the officer's hand. Daniel's gaze landed on a badge clipped to the man's vest. "Officer Mark Lewis." "All right, Mark," Daniel breathed, tightening the bandage. "You're not dying tonight." He scanned the room for a phone. Deadline. Power out. No signal. Only the relentless storm outside. Daniel looked at the K9 and made his choice. "Stay with him," he said softly, grabbing a flashlight. "I'll bring help." I promise." The storm showed no mercy. Rain slashed against Daniel's face as he sprinted down the flooded street, flashlight flickering in his trembling hand. Each gust of wind felt like a wall, but he didn't stop. Somewhere behind him, a loyal German shepherd guarded his fallen handler, and Daniel refused to let their hope fade in the dark. He spotted an abandoned patrol car, half submerged near the intersection. The radio inside crackled weakly. Daniel yanked the door open and grabbed the mic. This is Daniel Cross," he panted. "Officer down on Maple Street. Repeat, officer down with K9 injured. We need immediate assistance." Static answered him. Then a faint voice broke through. "Copy that. Hold your position. Help inbound." The radio hissed out again, leaving only the sound of the storm. Daniel cursed softly, slamming the door. He turned back toward the house, heart pounding, every second feeling heavier. As he climbed the porch steps, he heard a faint groan. Officer Mark's eyes flickered open for a second, dazed, weak. His lips parted. "Rex, don't. Let him take the bag." Daniel froze. "What bag?" Then he saw it. A soaked duffel bag lying near the porch rail, half hidden in the shadows. And it was already unzipped. Daniel's eyes narrowed on the duffel bag. Rain dripped from its torn edges, glinting under each flash of lightning. He knelt and pulled it closer. Inside were files, stacks of money, and a blood-stained flash drive. His stomach twisted. This wasn't just an assault. It was a setup. A low growl made him look up. The German shepherd, Rex, had limped to the doorway, his fur soaked and sides heaving. His gaze was fixed on the yard, and that's when Daniel saw movement. The same shadow from earlier emerged from the rain, gun in hand, limping but determined. "Step away from the bag," he shouted over the storm. Daniel's instincts flared. He stood his ground, blocking the officer and dog behind him. "You're not taking anything," he said. The man raised his weapon. Lightning tore across the sky. The thunder almost drowned the gunshot. Daniel dove for cover, splinters flying from the porch railing. Rex barked sharply, dragging himself forward despite the pain. The man cursed, stepping closer. And then, with one last burst of strength, Rex lunged. His jaws locked on the intruder's arm, forcing the gun down. Daniel seized the chance, tackling the man to the ground. The weapon skidded across the wet porch. Red and blue lights flashed in the distance. Sirens screaming closer. The suspect struggled once more before the weight of exhaustion crushed him. Daniel held him down until officers burst through the rain. Rex, drenched and trembling, limped back toward his handler, victorious but barely standing. Morning broke soft and pale over the hospital. The storm was gone, but its echoes lingered in the quiet halls. Officer Mark Lewis lay in recovery, pale but breathing steady. At his bedside, Rex rested with one paw bandaged, his eyes never leaving his partner's face. The door opened quietly. Daniel Cross stepped in, still wearing the same rain-soaked jacket. He placed Mark's police badge on the table beside him. Mark stirred weakly, whispering, "You saved us." Daniel smiled faintly. "No," he said, glancing at Rex. "He did." Rex thumped his tail once, slow, proud, unbreakable. Outside, sunlight touched the wet earth.